Hi guys, I'm back to keep reading to you. Cheater Pants, Junie B. Jones. We're on chapter 3. Chapter 3, Twitching. Finally we got to the row right next to mine. That's where Jose and Lenny sit. When Jose's turn came, he smiled very proud. He said on Saturday his daddy bought him a brand new soccer shoes, and he wore them to his soccer game. And he kicked the winning goal in those things. Lenny went next. He said he got brand new hair gel. Plus, he also got thickening cream. A thickening cream can make even the thinnest hair feel rich and full, he said. Whoa, I said. Whoa, said Herb and Jose. Whoa is what we say to be supportive. May sits behind Lenny. She stood up and she read her paper out loud. This weekend, one thing I did for fun was, on Saturday, I made a pot in my pottery class. And after that, I was punctual to my ballet class, and teacher said I danced like a gazelle. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. Oh, gazelle, huh? A gazelle is a very graceful creature, isn't it? Yes, said May. Would you like to see me do a few steps? After that, she ran from the front of the room and started to ballet. And Mr. Scary said to go please sit down again. As soon as she got back, I jumped right up. My turn, I said, real thrilled. I tapped my chin. Okay, well, let's see now. On Saturday, my grandpa Frank Miller came to babysit to me, and he let me roller skate in the house. Plus, also, he let me jump on my mother's bouncy bed, only soon I got very pooped, and so I ran into the kitchen and I drank chocolate milk right out of the carton. Without a glass, I mean. Whoa, said Lenny and Jose. Mr. Scary raised his hand to interrupt. Excuse me, Junie B., he said. It sounds like you had a great time on Saturday, but I'm wondering why you're not reading off your homework paper. Just then my heart pounded and again got nervous, and I should have saw that right there. I should have thought of about that problem. I swallowed real hard. Well, let's see, I said kind of quiet. Why aren't I reading? Mr. Scary smiled. It's all right, he said. You can start over. Just take your paper and read us what you wrote. After that, I stood there very frozen, and I couldn't even move. Mr. Scary crossed his arms at me. You do have a homework paper, don't you, Junie B.? He asked next. I stood there a little while longer. Finally, I reached into my desk and I pulled out my homework I had copied from May. I waved it in the air, kind of weakish. Oh, here it is, I said. Here's my homework paper. See, it's right here. Mr. Scary nodded. Yes, good. Now, could you read it for us, please? He asked. I took a deep breath. I looked down at my paper, and I read it silently, just to myself. Okay, done, I said. After that, I quick sat down, and I stuffed the paper back into my desk. Mr. Scary came to where I sat, and he said could he please see my paper. I felt sickish and shaky inside. Very slowly, I took out my paper again and I handed it over. After he read it, he shook his head. He took my hand and he walked me into the hall. It seems that you and May had very similar weekends, doesn't it, Junie B.? He said. I did a gulp. Yes, I said, it does. Mr. Scary read my paper once more. So, you take pottery class, do you? He said. I rocked back and forth on my feet. Yep, I do. I take pottery class, and I make, pots. Mr. Scary breathed real deep. Let's see. You take ballet class too, huh? And gee, what a coincidence. On Saturday, your teacher said you dance like a gazelle. I said very fast. Gazelle, said Mr. Scary. Whatever. My teacher sucked in his cheeks, and he looked at the paper again. And you were punctual, too. Isn't that amazing? Yes, I looked at him. Well, not if you can get an early start, I said real soft. Mr. Scary bent down next to me. His face was not jolly. Junie B. Jones, do you have any idea how disappointed I am in you right now? Just there, tears came in my eyes, and I didn't even expect that trouble. I quit hanging my head so he couldn't see. Sorry, he said. Sorry you're disappointed. And Mr. Scary took a breath, and said we would talk more at recess. He gave me a tissue from his pocket, and I wiped my tears. After that, we went back into the room. I sat in my desk, very slumpy, 'cause what do you know? I didn't luck out after all. Chapter 4, Cheater Pants. It's still dumb Monday, dear first grade journal. Right now it's recess. I'm not playing on the playground. Instead, I'm sitting at my desk and waiting to get yelled at. I wish I could disappear into thin air. If I could disappear, I would run outside and I would find May and I would clunk her on the head. I wish I didn't have to sit next to that girl, because people should never leave their homework on their desk for other people to borrow. That's just asking for trouble, mister. From Junie B., first grader. Mr. Scary was writing at his desk. He looked up at me and called my name. Junie B., I'm ready for you now. Could you please bring your chair up here, please? My stomach flipped and flopped because here came the yelling part. That's why. I did some deep breaths. I pulled my chair up next to him in the front of the room, and I sat down. Mr. Scary took my paper out of his drawer. He set it in front of me, very serious. I want you to explain this to me, Junie B., he said. I want to tell me exactly why you copied May's homework this morning. I tried to swallow, but nothing went down. Let's see. The reason I copied was, I tapped my chin. Then all of a sudden I thought of it. Daddy, I said. It was my daddy's fault. My teacher looked surprised at that answer. Your daddy? Your daddy told you not to copy May's homework? Yes. Last night I wanted to stay up late to do my homework, but Daddy turned out the light, and he is the reason I had to come to school without it. Oh, I see. Your daddy wouldn't let you stay up, so that's what forced you to copy May's paper. Yes, I nodded my head real fast. Yes, that's exactly it. Mr. Scary raised his eyebrows. So, did May actually give you her paper to copy? He asked. I rolled my eyes at a crazy question. No, silly. May would have never been that nice. I was just that this morning she kept bragging about her homework was always A+, and then she left the paper on top of the desk and went to the office. And that's just asking for trouble, mister. Mr. Scary leaned back in his chair. So when May left for the office, you saw her paper and you just decided to borrow it, I said. I decided to borrow it to copy. My teacher did a frown. Borrow, he said. No, Junie B., I'm sorry, but borrow is not the right answer here at all. When you copy someone else's paper, that's called cheating. My eyes got big and shocked at the word, because I wasn't. What was he even talking about? No, Mr. Scary, no. I didn't cheat. I didn't. Cheating is when you steal someone's answers off someone's test. That homework isn't a test. Homework doesn't count, hardly. Oh, but homework does count, Junie B., he said. Cheating is just not stealing test answers. Cheating is when you take time Cheating is any time you take someone else's work and present it as your own. He looked at me. When you cheated this morning, you broke my trust in you, Junie B. We have one rule in room 1. We kept our eyes on our own papers, and you've heard me say that 100 times, I bet. I felt surprised at this new information. That's a rule. No, Kitty? I always thought it was more, a suggestion. Mr. Scary rolled his eyes. No, Junie B., it's not a suggestion. It's definitely a rule, and it's an important rule, too. I drummed my fingers on the desk. I'll be darned, I said. After a while, I did a deep breath. Oh, I'm sorry, I said real soft. Mr. Scary smiled a bit. I'm sorry too, Junie B. But at least for now, I think we understand each other better. I will not put up with cheaters in my classroom. I did a wince. Ugh. Yeah, only I wish you would quit saying that cheater word, 'cause I didn't know I was cheating hardly. Plus, I don't like cheaters either, Mr. Scary, on account of my daddy cheating on the old maid last week, and I'm still not over that terrible experience. Mr. Scary wrinkled his eyebrows. Your daddy cheated? He said. Oh, I did a sigh. Yes. Daddy raised the old maid way high in his hand so I wouldn't pick her, and then I did. And so, what kind of sneaky trick is that? Mr. Scary covered his mouth. He was shocked to believe. I leaned closer to him. Daddy is not only a cheater pants in my family either. On account of Grandpa Miller is supposed to be on a diet, but yesterday Grandma found him an empty pie bin in the closet, and after he had a little bit of crust in a plastic fork. I thought for a second. No wonder I cheated. Cheating's in my blood, apparently. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. Well, nobody's perfect. Everyone cheats on a diet once in a while, I think. But cheating at school is a very different matter, Junie B. Cheating at school is serious business. Are we clear on that now? I nodded real fast. Clear, I said. After that, both of us shook hands, and Mr. Scary carried my chair back to my desk. After I sat down, he took an envelope out of his pocket and he handed it to me. I wrote a note explaining to your parents what happened this morning. I would like them to read it and sign it, okay? You can bring it back to me in the morning. I did a gasp with the thing. Oh, no, Mr. Scary, not okay. Please don't make me take this note home. Please, I really don't want to take this note. Mr. Scary thought for a second, and then he took the note back. Well, okay. If you feel that strongly, I won't make you take it. He started to walk back to his desk. I'll just call them tonight instead. I did a loud groan. Ugh! So what kind of dumb choice is that? I stomped to his desk and I grabbed the note. I stuffed it in my backpack. I sat down on my desk and I wrote in my journal one more time, Mr. Scary is a tattletale.